Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Overwatch video. In this match, I'm going to be playing as D.Va, and I wanted to talk about D.Va's changes that are upcoming, according to Blizzard. They've said that they're going to fix McCree, which is the character that Blank, as in the middle here on the character selection screen, is playing. He's an offensive character that has a attack called Fan the Hammer. He's got a revolver that can like shoot 6 shots or something like that in a row. He can take out tanks easily, especially since he has a flashbang ability. He can just shoot out a flashbang or just toss a flashbang and stun a target, and then they can't move, and then he can just use his flash of hammer, and it's very annoying. I'm sure if you've played this game, you've died by him quite a bit. In a way, he actually is going to be helping D.Va as a tank, who's I'm playing right now. D.Va has a lot of armor. She has a lot of health. Altogether she has 500 health, I guess, in a way, or 500 protection, whatever you want to call it. I have a video where I talk about the shields and the armor and health all together, so that way you can figure out like what the differences are. But basically, armor it just reduces incoming damage by 5. There's a little few caveats to that, but you can see that in the video. Either way, D.Va is still pretty weak, even though she has all that armor. She has a huge headshot hitbox, which basically just means that the big, huge area on the front of her mech counts as a headshot when you shoot at it, and headshots deal extra damage in this game. So that means that anybody that's attacking D.Va can deal a bunch of damage really quickly because they can shoot right at her face and take her out very quickly. And that's a problem because D.Va is always facing her enemies, obviously, like any character. She, has 2 shotguns that don't require reloading, but she always got to face at the targets. It's not like Blizzard designed her for you to walk in backwards or anything. You have to face people. And she has no way of like self-healing or anything. She does have an E ability by pressing E that I guess I always want to call it deflect damage, but really she's actually just kind of eating the damage, or she's protecting herself from incoming damage. Basically, the fiction is that she's deleting the bullets at midair. So that is a way for her to not to take damage, and it also goes like right in front of her face, so that means like she's not going to be taking the headshots. It has a pretty short cooldown, but it's still going to be like you still like are going to get killed in between using it. It's like Genji's deflect ability. He can use it, but you gotta like time it, and you don't get it all the time. So that means D.Va is just a pretty weak tank. As you see here, I'm taking a ton of damage, and I'm out of the mech instantly. Because when you take all of the damage, where you lose all your health on the mech, you will get kicked out into your human form as D.Va, which is way weaker, way less health. It's a little bit nice to play as human D.Va, I guess, because she has the pistol that shoots pretty fast, and she's kind of like a harasser in that form because she doesn't have like a huge hitbox on her health or her head or anything, and she isn't just this giant mech anymore, so she can be pretty annoying. I would argue that she's actually a harasser when she's also a regular tank, which kind of leads me to the next point where we're comparing her to other tanks. So you got Zarya. She can shield herself, and she kind of wants to take damage because when she takes damage, her weapon becomes stronger. Then you got Reinhardt, who he takes damage, or actually basically blocks damage with his shield. He's a very strong tank for groups because he can put a shield in front of the group, and the group can shoot through it while he's holding it. He can really hold the line. He's very strong on like points and stuff. And then you have like Winston, who can really get behind the enemy lines and start annoying people and harassing people. And he's got his own shield. Like he's meant to be like really kind of wild and hard. He's a big target, but he's just like a really super annoying because he's got the electrical weapon that shoots through shields and stuff. You can see right there. So he's very annoying. And then you got D.Va, and she can fly around, as you saw right there. D.Va flies around and can deal her unlimited damage without having to reload. She doesn't do a ton of damage, but she is pretty annoying, and she has her self-destruct ability, which is her Q, which you can see in the middle of the screen right now, and it will just take out anybody that's within range. Everybody has to run away. It will clear out a area if you trigger it and then run off. So it's very useful, even like in situations where it's not necessarily going to kill a bunch of people. It'll still get people to move away from a point. That's all well and good for D.Va, but the big problem with her is she's very weak, and she seems like she's made to be played as sort of a harasser, which is a character that can just go around and annoy the targets, the enemies that are really annoying her team. But the problem is that she just dies very quickly, and it's just really hard to play her with like effectively, it feels like, with keeping her health and everything when you're not getting constantly healed. And she's hard to heal because she's going to be flying around out of range of any of the healers, because a lot of the healers, except for Lucio, need to be like near her to heal her. Well, actually, Lucio still does. He has to be in line of sight, so actually scratch that. Like, any healer has to be near her, and no healer is actually going to follow her right now, at least, because they know that she's pretty weak. So it's not very like, it's not a good idea to just like stick behind a D.Va and try to take out the enemy team. Compared to like if a Mercy stuck onto a Reinhardt, and like a good Reinhardt, and really pushed through a team's defenses, that would be very effective, especially if both of the players were very good. Right now, you can have a really good D.Va player, but even then, she's going to die and then be stuck in her human form, and it's very hard to heal her human form through any kind of damage because she doesn't have any special ability. She just has a pistol. She's good at taking points if you have a team around her, because she can be very, if the enemy team doesn't like incredibly or just like, face her and take her down incredibly fast, then she can be like very effective being a part of a team. But that's not always going to happen, and I understand that that you shouldn't balance a character on something that's not always going to happen, because the game is always going to be fluid, and like you don't want to just like require some specific thing. But I think that the character should be effective in other ways. Like maybe just like, I think it's just skewed towards being less effective when there's not a big team, and I think that she should be like a better kind of self-sustainable tank in some way. Now, Blizzard has talked about changing her. They've talked about making it so that she can shoot and move at the same time. Right now she can move, I guess, but she moves very slowly, so she effectively really can't move, because especially since she's a big target, she's not going to be going anywhere. If she's shooting at you and you want to kill her, and she's not like directly aiming at you, I guess I said she's shooting at you, but if she's just shooting, you can take her out very quickly. So that means that she's an easy target. Now, if she could move at full speed when she's shooting, that would be really great, because then she could duck in and out of cover and be able to dodge some attacks. And obviously, I think she should still have her huge hitbox on her head. I think that is fair, especially for characters that aren't like a hard counter to her. Like if you're not a Pharah flying up in the air and shooting rockets down, I could understand having a giant hitbox on D.Va for characters like, like McCree or something like that, where that they can sort of reliably take her out if they can manage to get her head on. And if you get her head on, you know that she's going to notice you and probably be shooting at you. So I feel like that's a fair trade-off. But I do think that she should be able to move on her own. And I think that would be enough to help maybe fix her survivability. I guess I'm not a game designer, so I don't know exactly, but to me it just feels like she needs more mobility. She's also, I think that she's also kind of like very good at moving around without shooting, and so I don't think they should try to like make the cooldown on her flight mode slower or anything, because I think that that's a very important part of being a D.Va, is being able to get around and go into smaller spaces and go into vertical areas and take people out, because the other tanks can't really do that. Winston kind of can, because he can jump, but she's like the only tank that can really get around. So I think that that's a very important part of D.Va, and I don't think they should change that. And it's not like they've said that, but I hope that they don't do that, because I think that's a very fun part of D.Va. I also think that they've said that they are not going to increase her damage, which would be another way of maybe fixing her, if she could just kill people before they deal enough damage to her. But I think that she deals enough damage now to be annoying and kind of threatening if you're near her, or if you're certain characters like a Tracer or something. But I think that she doesn't need to have extra damage, because that way she's not too powerful. And I think Blizzard has said that they've tested her dealing more damage in the beta, and it was very dangerous because she would fly around, take people out, and then fly back out, and she would almost just be like an offensive character suddenly. And I don't want to see that. And hopefully they might test that, but I doubt they'll do that. It seems like they've publicly said that they don't really want to do that. I think the biggest change is just going to be making her more mobile, because that's what she's about. And I really do think that would help her out a ton, especially when you have, even if there are characters that can't, even if the healers can't heal her, I think it makes more sense that she can at least move and kind of protect herself. And the other thing is it could make her deflection or her, I guess, her protection ability a little faster. But I don't think that, like the cooldown faster. But I don't. I think that would just be like too much. I think making it so you like are always shielding yourself might be a little weird, because like it would probably feel like as a character against D.Va that you could never like shoot her because she would always be deflecting the damage. Instead, it should be more about like more open to the skill of another player. Like, hey, she's moving around. Let me predict her movements and try to kill her because now she can move while she's shooting. That feels like a better design decision than letting her just shield herself all the time. Other than that, I don't really know what else you could do to D.Va. I mean, she's already a very strong character in the right situations. She just needs those tweaks so that way she's a little bit more self-sustainable. The McCree nerf should help her. Like I said, she should be able to deal with like getting flashbanged by McCree a little bit better. All the tanks really. So that should in itself help her survivability, but that's only against one character. I think you need a more broader decision or broader change, and I think that would mean giving her the ability to move. And that's really that's the only thing I can really think of is having played her a little bit and like seeing that her movement seems like to be the cause of her like deaths all the time. I think that would be the biggest like change and the most effective change of making D.Va a lot more useful and a lot more like it makes more sense to pick her in certain situations than it does now. Now it just seems like, well, unless you're a really good D.Va and you have a really good team, then you're not going to be very effective with her. And I think that those changes, if they do those changes, hopefully soon, D.Va will finally become a tank that you can sort of rely on, and that's the biggest thing about tanks is you want to be able to rely on them. So hopefully those happen. I have a bunch more videos on the channel of Overwatch if you want to go see them, and I'm going to be having some more videos, I think, on Mercy, because I've learned some things on her. Anyway, see you in the next video.